correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll recite the verse. न कर्मणामनारम्भान् नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यासनादेव सिद्धिं समाधिगच्छति sorry सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति न कर्मणामनारम्भान् नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यासनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति न कर्मणामनारम्भान् नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यासनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति So, na means not. Karmanam, activities. So, not doing activities or not performing activities. How do we know whether activities are being performed or not? So, anarambha, arambha, anarambha. We've heard of the word arambha, is the word arambha there in Telugu, Tamil. Arambha. So, anarambha, opposite of that. Okay? So, anarambhan.
Clothing is also not.
So, anarambhan means no, not performing. What is no one not performing? Na karmanam anarambhan. So, we won't look at the na karmanam right now. Karmanam anarambhan. So, na is for something else. Karmanam anarambhan. Arambha means to begin. Anarambha means not started. Stop, not started, not begun. So karmanam anarambhan, if one is not active, if one is not performing one's activities. So naishkarmyam, karmyam,
Activity performed without reaction.
naishkarmyam is again activities. Naishkarmyam, special activities. So what is special about naishkarmyam? So naishkarmyam is a grammatical form of nishkarma. What is nishkarma?
Activities performed without any reactions.
Nishkarma means
No
Fruits to that action.
yes, no fruits of one's action. Karma and nishkarma. So karma here would mean actions and nishkarma does not mean no actions because akarma would mean no actions. No, we are not looking at vikarma right now. We are just trying to see what Krishna is speaking. In our language, we have to understand. If we could understand Sanskrit, then we wouldn't need to explain. Nishkaranam. So Karan is cause. Right? So Karan becomes tool. It's madhyam. It's a tool. But karma is that which has Karan in it.
That which has?
So Karan in it. Cause. So Nishkaran would not be the proper understanding here. Okay, but yes, the idea of Nishkaran makes sense. Here it's Nishkarma. So when we use the word Nishkarma, it's different from Akarma. What is the difference? Akarma means action, no action. Karma, Akarma. But when we say karma and Nishkarma specifically in most circumstances means action without fruits or actions without reaction. Okay? So now here the word na would be used. Na naishkarmyam. So if one has not even begun acting, there is no activities performed, so then there is no existence of naishkarmya or the idea of reactions not being there to actions. So why is naishkarmyam being used here? That we'll discuss more. So naishkarmyam are actions without reactions. However, na naishkarmyam. Now you can make the connection. So karmanam anarambhan na naishkarmyam. Purushosnute ashnute. What is ashnute here? Ashnute. Ashnute comes from another word known as ashnan. Have you heard the word ashnan?
Ashnami means
Ashnami, I accept. Alright? Ashnute. Ashnute means is not achieved. Alright? Achieved. Again, na would be there. Not achieved. So, Ashnute is achieved. See? Ashnan is to accept. So, Ashnute is achieved. But again, na would apply here. So, na Ashnute does not achieve. Who does not achieve? Purushaha. Who's Purushaha? The actor. The boss. Purusha means one who's supposed to perform an activity. So, Purusha Ashnute na. What the Purusha is supposed to achieve? That Purusha is not achieving that. What is he supposed to achieve? By his actions? Naishkarmyam. Naishkarmyam means not being overburdened by the reactions of one's actions. That is what the Purusha is supposed to achieve. However, the Purusha would not be achieving that. Why? Karmanam anarambhan. So action is not started, so there is a question of reaction and freedom from reaction.
That means he is a sannyasi, renunciant. How can anybody didn't start any action?
That's a good question. So why did you think of a sannyasi?
Not sannyasi means not our spiritual masters. And
Oh, sannyasis are not always spiritual masters.
not in the sense of our.
And all spiritual masters are not
Renunciant.
sannyasis.
I mean, I want.
So why did that idea come? Is it because of the word sannyas here?
Because usually if we come to ISKCON, all our family members are thinking that we are going to forest like sannyasi muchkun, you are doing sannyasi like that. They
सन्यासी बन जाएगा ऐसा वाला रिएक्शन रहता है. कुछ खाएगा नहीं, कुछ पिएगा नहीं, सब कुछ छोड़
Okay, so that is why the thought of sannyas. I thought, did you kind of see the word sannyas here in the verse and therefore?
But
Okay.
without action,
All right.
you're you're running away.
Running away.
Yeah, sorry.
Good. Running away. Yes.
Means not accepting
Because no work
duties.
means
Not accepting your duties. Just see, there are so many thoughts that are coming.
But a lot of people,
Wonderful.
they use sannyas as whatever Mataji is saying, colloquial sense, they use in negative context.
Negative
So
context,
He
sannyas.
sannyas. Means
Yeah.
he is abstaining, like.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm sannyas.
Free
like
from
that.
responsibilities.
So for example,
Abstain from the work.
today, let's say, you decide that today I'll stay away from all gadgets. And that could also be said as sannyas, right? I've taken sannyas from gadgets.
Yeah. but
People do use the phrase sannyas for,
It's like sannyasam for cooking, but no sannyasam for eating.
no sannyas cooking, sannyas from, yeah,
Selective renunciation.
selective renunciation.
That's what she was doing.
Okay.
now it's coming also. Okay.
Okay? All right. So, where were we? If one has not performed actions, since actions give you reactions and reactions could be a burden to you, it has to be dealt with. Reactions have to be dealt with, right? So, since actions are not performed, no reactions. Since there are no reactions, so you do not have to deal with any reactions. Correct? What is the achievement there? It's zero achievement. Ashnute, what does a Purusha achieve by doing that? Practically nothing, because no action, no reaction, nothing does not have to think about reaction. Right? But Naishkarmyam is not meant to be zero achievement. Naishkarmyam is supposed to be a state of existence where one is not burdened by the reactions of one's actions. Okay? So Naishkarmyam is what one is looking to have. However, that Naishkarmyam will not be achieved if Karmanam Anarambhan. So this part we understand? Krishna basically is saying, Arjuna, why is Krishna, third chapter, right? Second chapter, Krishna has just spoken about body, soul, and you should do your duty and also take guidance. All of that has come about.
Yes.
So third chapter, he's telling Arjuna, because as of yet, Arjuna is again and again looking for reasons to
Right.
leave. Again and again, whatever Krishna gives, whatever suggestion Krishna offers, if within that suggestion there is the idea of renunciation, he is more attracted towards that. Okay? So, for example, if you have to take guidance for that, you have to be a student. Therefore, you do not have to be a fighter. Hence, can I do that, Krishna? So Krishna says, wait. Don't take my suggestions out of context. Get the point now? Why this is happening here? So some background. Okay. So Krishna, you've just explained to me that how one must be renounced from all material desires and not be entangled in the material world. Isn't that sannyas? So you've just said that you cannot be inactive, you have to be active because you have to perform naishkarmya. You have to perform activities which do not entangle you with their reactions. Then, does it mean that one does not have to be renounced? Hence, Krishna will address the topic. Nacha sannyasad. Nacha sannyasad eva. So, no. Cha. Cha would mean also. Again, definitely. Alright? So, cha is very emphatic here. Emphatic means he also wants to address the idea of, is renunciation then useless? And he says, Nacha sannyasad eva. What? Eva, certainly, Nacha sannyasad. So in reference to his previous idea, the idea of naishkarmya, he's saying, in naishkarmya you'll get a good prize. But because you are not looking towards naishkarmya, since you have become inactive, so if by becoming inactive you think that, oh, this sannyas is going to be helpful, this renunciation is going to be helpful, he says, Nacha sannyasa deva siddhim. Sannyas would give you siddhi. Sannyas gives you siddhi. That is why it is called sannyas. But here he is saying, Nacha sannyasad eva siddhim. Samadhi gacchati. What is samadhi gacchati? Adhigacchati. Gacchati, gacchati.
Yes.
Telugu, Tamil.
Yes.
Go.
See, gacchati, gacchati is. Adhigacchati.
Reach.
Okay, adhigacchati means in reference to a particular subject matter. So, in reference to this entire topic that has been discussed, gacchati. One reaches, one goes to that place, yes.
Is there a difference between what you're saying, nacha sannyasa and nacha sannyasanad, or are they the
Oh,
same thing?
sannyasanad. Sorry. It is sannyasanad. So, out of sannyas, that which you get by sannyas, sannyasanad. So, sannyasat, sannyasanad are almost synonyms. Here it is sannyasanad means that which is born out of sannyas, that which you achieve by taking sannyas. So, what is sannyas? Here it is renunciation. Okay? Thank you.
If sannyasi performs any karma, it is a nice karma. My fundamental question is it possible to do any Naishkarma?
Is it possible to do? It seems it has to be possible, otherwise Krishna would not introduce the topic. So now we have to see whether is there an understanding to Naishkarma.
Is Atma state by which he can perform karma but still it becomes no result? Or is materially possible Naishkarma?
It's like you get pulled over by the police, by the cops, and they handcuff you. And you're like, oh, they are being violent. And the cops say, hey, it's not me, it's the law. So if you have any reactions, then you have to address the law. Don't address me. As a person, I am not responsible.
Okay, you are defining Naishkarma as?
I'm not defining Nishkarma as of yet. I'm just saying that there are so many instances in life where one performs an action but is not held responsible for that action.
Okay.
So Nishkarma basically is where you perform an action but you're not overburdened by the reaction.
Like breathing.
Because it doesn't come to you. You're not responsible for that action, although you perform the action. Make sense?
Breathing is not reaction.
Okay.
You kill a lot of animals, insects.
Like for example, let me give you an example. You cook, so you have to eat. If you eat, you have to digest. However, you cook for someone else. Now they have to digest. Are you responsible for that digestion? Make sense? See, that's a very simple example. Who performed the activity of cooking? I did, you did. Now who has to digest the food?
But if you don't cook properly,
How they digest it is not your responsibility.
No, but if you don't cook properly, then and they fall sick, then you don't get the karma.
We don't know.
See, if cooking, the idea of cooking is to cook well. Not cooking well, it simply shows that you don't know cooking, so you're not a cook. Right? So hence the logic there will not apply in that case.
That is what Krishna is saying. Don't quote out of context. Like, means there is
Actually, even I am trying to understand what Krishna is trying to say, because this verse right now we are discussing. So I'm not saying right now that Krishna is going to, because then the class will just get over right now. So I have to kind of expand on this for the next half an hour, 45 minutes. So this is just a premise. We are just trying to look at the verse from the Sanskrit. We are not going to look at the translation right now. And let us see if are we in sync with the translation. Okay? That is what we are trying to do. Then we'll what is that? Expound. Thank you. Then we'll expound on the verse a little more. Is it okay? So, Siddhims Sabadhigachati. Can we go to the Adhigachati? Did you see what is the translation of Adhigachati? Attains. So, we are thinking along the similar lines, right? Gachati, Adhigachati. So, Adhigachati has to be in context with the previous subject matter. Because Adhi means under. No, Adhi means under. Adi is different. This is Adhi.
Adhi is different from this Adhi. This Adhi.
See, Adhipati.
Adhipati is like one who is boss. Adhipati.
Boss. So, Pati is boss. Adhipati means the boss under whom you are accepting to be. So then that person becomes, or you are under their Adhipatya.
Like Senadipati. Under the
You are under their Adhipatya.
So this same Adhi, this prefix.
So Adhi, the prefix Adhi, basically it means there is some context to the word that it is prefixed to. So what is the context? Gachati. Gachati means to go. Right? Gachati means some travel. So when you travel, you go from place A to place B. So when you reach place B, you say, I reached my destination. Hence, Gachati here means attains. Travel. In context to what? Siddhim. Okay? So Siddhim, Samadhi Gachati. What is Sama? Sama means similar, equal. So this siddhi is equal to what? Naishkarmya. So if one has taken up sannyas, but what kind of sannyas Krishna is going to explain here? A kind of sannyas where he says, in that sannyas too, one would not be able to achieve nurture siddhim. One would not achieve the siddhi of that is similar to Naishkarmya. Okay? Samadhi gacchati. Let us go to the translation now. So what does the translation say? Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So did we kind of analyze the verse properly? Correct? Now since we analyzed it, does it make the Gita a little more interesting?
Yes.
If you had just read the translation, how would we have felt about it? It's like, okay, now I have to just memorize this, isn't it? However, when you break it down word for word, understand what could be the meaning. Just try and understand what could be the meaning. And then see if it is according to what the translation is. Yes.
And so if I'm understanding correctly, when we take sannyas, the success that we attain during sannyas is surmount to Naishkarmya.
Sannyas is where you become free from all responsibilities and duties in life. That is what is sannyas. So basically, if you're not responsible towards anyone, that is freedom, isn't it? And that is what Naishkarmya is also supposed to give you, freedom. So it's just different ideas which Krishna is trying to juxtapose.
So the act of taking sannyas is surmount to Naishkarmya, if I'm understanding correctly.
Here he's trying to just show that the goal that can be achieved by both
Oh, so the goal is the same.
could be beneficial for the performer.
Okay.
Alright? Rather than say the goal is the same, I said sama.
Yeah.
So he's trying to equate it in terms of what the performer would achieve. The performer is supposed to achieve freedom. Right?
Yeah.
So freedom can be defined according to one's own individual experience. Make sense?
Yeah.
So Naishkarmya is the freedom that one achieves when one is performing action, some activity. And Siddhim is the freedom that one achieves when one has taken sannyas. Alright?
Yeah.
And since both is freedom, Krishna is trying to show how freedom is achievable, possible through these means. For someone who is involved in actions and someone who has renounced duties, not action, duties.
Duties.
Because those duties make you answerable, accountable.
So he's trying to imply that there's some way to attain freedom, both for one who's involved in action and one who is disassociated from duties.
The idea of Naishkarmya, according to Vedic philosophy, means freedom. Right? It's like graduation. What does graduation mean? That you're done with some whatever course syllabus and you've received a diploma, certificate or a degree, right? So similarly, Naishkarmya means freedom. In what context? In context of doing activities. Okay? And Siddhi here means, Siddhi basically means topmost goal. That which you aspired for, you got it. So what does the sannyasi aspire for? Freedom. Okay? Hence, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Is that alright? Okay. Now, let us try and expound. So this verse is very profoundly or very emphatically hinting at what is purity. So here it is, the verse is wanting us to pay attention to intent. Everyone's intent. Okay? So without purity of heart, knowledge is not going to help you at all. Without purity of heart, knowledge that you have is not beneficial for you. Without purity of purpose. Okay? That is what Krishna is. So if we are going to just look at it superficially, so should I act, should I not act? What is your intent? If that is not clear, then the idea of acting could just be a borrowed idea. Oh, I heard someone, they told me you should act and you should act in this way and it will be nice. Someone said that whatever you eat, you should only eat prasad. Therefore, at our house, we only eat prasad. We cook very nice preparations, dishes, and that is what we eat to a full. We feel satisfied after eating, and that is prasad, right? Borrowed idea. They told me, I do it. Then, oh, today you're fasting. Yes, they told me that today is Nirjala Ekadashi, you have to fast. So you're just taking concepts and you're applying it within our lives with faith, but that faith, within that faith, you have not used your intelligence. Hence, you don't have knowledge. Someone asks you, why prasad? You're like, oh, they told me. Prasad is good. Why fast? Oh, because fasting is good. You know, this is Ekadashi, so Krishna is pleased. So, you have the knowledge of action or inaction. But that knowledge is not really beneficial because it does not enlighten you. Make sense now? How does enlightenment come? Purity of heart. If you are clear of what you want to achieve, then that knowledge will actually enlighten you. Yes.
Knowledge leads to purity, or purity leads to proper interpretation of knowledge?
Good question. Because we are discussing this verse here, so already Arjuna has knowledge. Because what did Arjuna do? I should not fight because of this reason, I should not fight because of that reason. So context is very, very specific when we are expounding on the Bhagavad Gita. Now, if that's a generic question, then I would have to ask, what is your situation? Are you a naive child, or have you received some education and you're an adult? So then accordingly we'll have to say that for a naive child, the child still does not have realization of action and reaction, but an adult has. For a child, knowledge is not really very helpful. But for an adult, knowledge is very helpful.
No, I'm just trying to understand purity, the word purity is used, right?
We are, again, this is Arjuna and Krishna having a discussion.
Even I want to try to understand, Prabhu. You are saying knowledge is there, but if there is purity of heart, you cannot apply that knowledge. That means if you...
It is not beneficial for you.
It's not beneficial.
I said it is not beneficial for you. Arjuna says, if I kill everyone, then no one will be there. And only the ladies will be left, the men will be gone. So he's applying his knowledge. Is it going to be beneficial for him or society? No.
In Bhagavatam, second verse, first canto, second verse, we read, if there is an envy, you won't get this knowledge in your heart. That's what you are trying. If your purity means what in sense purity, Prabhu? Because we are impure state, we came condition, we are impure state, we are trying ourselves purification. But how can purification process is a long way. If the knowledge is not beneficial, it both goes together, right?
Right now our discussion is just like Krishna and Arjuna.
Okay.
We'll have to go throughout the entire my presentation, and yes, you can always keep asking me what, and I'll try. But I'll try to also push my presentation. Knowledge, in your case, what you're saying is, let me try and give you this example. Purity of heart. 2 plus 2.
4.
That is purity.
In which way?
For the application of 2 plus 2.
No, somebody told I applied it, but I don't believe in that also. But it's material nature is going in that way, I'm going in that way.
No. 2 spoons of salt and 2 spoons of ghee. Are you going to say someone told me and therefore?
It's not.
See, 2 plus 2 is the application.
Okay.
We
because you know clearly what it means. So your intent, when you do whatever preparation, your intent will have clarity. Now what we are trying to do here is purity of heart. We are thinking in terms of, oh, am I going to be someone who's very helpful, very kind? We are not even addressing that because that is not Krishna. Krishna is not even addressing it.
I think the purity of
Add
heart.
on to that, I think whatever Mataji is saying, it is making sense for me. 2 plus 2 equal to 4.
Correct.
That is purity. But 2 plus 2, if 2 is only decimal number, what if it is octal number or hexadecimal number? If the things will change.
Okay, so what is the premise here?
Means that is that called knowledge? If that is called knowledge, like bringing context to 2 plus 2, then knowledge
No,
and purity, like
I'm not saying, if I say, Mataji, you take 2 cups of milk and take 2 spoons of sugar
It's wrong.
and mix it. Does it make sense to you? Why? You know milk, you know sugar, you know 2. Hence, in that context, I used the example of 2 plus 2 is what? Now, if you are going to think, is it decimal? You're going to be confused. So, once you have clarity, that is called as purity.
May I understand?
Now, you have to expand it more. Can you just be happy with 2 plus 2 when you're trying to send a spaceship into space? So, there, you need more clarity.
So here intent means consciousness. May I think in that way? No. What is correctly intent means? I mean exact words, meanings.
So, what would lack of intent mean? No consciousness?
In Telugu it is uddeshyam. Uddeshyam.
Conscious means
Uddeshyam, like whatever you are feeding your son.
what is the intent and consciousness? Can you please give some clarity? I'm thinking, I don't know, yeah.
So I'm asking this question. So if there is lack of intent, does it mean lack of consciousness also? So when we define consciousness, we are defining consciousness in terms of life, living. Right? We're not defining just in terms of, am I conscious of what I'm doing? I think you're doing that. Correct? Am I conscious of what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So when you say that I'm conscious of what I'm doing, therein you're showing your intent. So can I equate intent with consciousness? Or can I say where there is intent, there is consciousness? That is debatable. Because what do you define consciousness as?
As you
Hence,
said, yeah.
hence, if consciousness is, oh, I define consciousness like I'm consciously doing an activity. Now that's a very, very specific, limited definition of consciousness. Alright? So without purity of heart, the knowledge that we have is not really beneficial. Alright? Hence, confusion can arise. Should I perform an activity which I'm supposed to do or not? Now it makes sense? Arjuna's dilemma. Should I fight or not fight? Because I think by fighting, the consequence is going to be very, very dismal. Right? So Krishna is saying, first, your heart should be pure. For purity, for the heart to be pure, you should be in knowledge. Correct? That knowledge can get covered up if your heart is impure. Even if you have knowledge, it gets covered up even if your heart is impure.
Makes a clarity. Then knowledge and purity, then that
Yeah.
purity is uncovering of the mud or the knowledge.
Which is already, so you started off with the correct intent, let me receive knowledge. Then you use that knowledge in ways to confuse yourself.
Simple. Number 6 can be seen as a 9 also if you upside down.
Correct. So you choose to do it like that, and therefore the purity is no longer there. There is no clear intent, no clarity. Okay? Hence, the scriptures never recommend not doing your duties or activities. Just for this reason. The scriptures never recommended not doing your activities. Because if you do not perform your duties or activities that are recommended, that are supposed to be your responsibility, then actually the knowledge that you have will not benefit either yourself or society. Is that okay? So one who has such impurity within the heart definitely cannot gain knowledge or clarity of knowledge by renunciation. Because of impurity, I don't think so that if I do something, then people will benefit. So I'll not do anything. So renunciation. So all arises from impurity of the heart or clouding over of our consciousness. So there is knowledge, but our heart is becoming impure, which basically means agyan is covering over our jnana. And where is that jnana coming from? From the very jnana that I have. Right? For example, you make some prasad, and it's, as you said, you cook, and it's not really chewable. Then somebody could easily use knowledge and say, Prabhu, you're not the body, you're the soul. Misapplication. It's always used or not?
Yes.
If somebody gets hurt, and we say, you're not the body, you're the soul. So it could help, it could not help. Right? So if it does not help, then there is ajnan covering over your jnana. So impurity of heart. And that is what Krishna is trying to address here. He says, neither by renunciation, nor by not doing your activities, you are going to achieve clarity. You'll be more and more confused, you'll be more and more doubtful, and you'll make others also unhappy. So, we have to come back to the basics. The basic is that one is spirit soul. And by constitution, we are complete and whole. Any doubts on it? Is every living entity complete and whole? Or there's a doubt that because we are part and parcel of Krishna, how can we be complete? Perfect, yes. Thank you. Yes, yeah, a little loudly. Please chant that.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate.
See? Yes. So we are, by constitution, by nature, we are complete and perfect. Thank you, Vita. That was good. Where does the incompleteness come from?
Lack of connection.
Impurity comes from so many other desires that our intelligence is focusing on. Desire to run away. Desire to give up. This is not the mind, this is the intelligence. The intelligence comes up, analyzes the situation and comes up with options that are not very helpful. So what happens to a buddhi? The buddhi comes up with multiple options, completely contrary to that which should be done. And since it is the intelligence that comes up with such ideas, it seems very convincing. What is the conviction? If I follow what my intelligence is telling me, then I will be happy. Because the intelligence is what convinces you whether something can make you happy or it will not make you happy. Hence, Arjuna is thinking that if he goes away from the battlefield, he will be happy. So the intelligence comes up with so many other desires. These desires become very, very powerful. And despite having the knowledge, it is a real knowledge that Arjun has which makes him ask Krishna. Otherwise, he would have just done what his intelligence is telling him to do. But the knowledge is making him ask Krishna, Krishna, what is the right path? What should I do? He's inquiring of Krishna. So there is this tussle going on within Arjuna himself. And most of us may have had similar tussles for various, in different scenarios within our life. Similar tussle. The knowledge that we have tells us that we have to engage in a particular way. However, due to whatever, it could be any reason, we let that knowledge be covered by different aspirations and hopes. And we give up doing our task. The intelligence can never come up with ideas that the intelligence has never engaged in. Make sense?
Sorry, Prabhu. The mind do all these things, Prabhu. Intelligence can help us to make what's right, what's wrong. You're saying intelligence is doing all these things. Then what helps to take right things if intelligence is working as mind?
I never said intelligence. I said intelligence will give you the options. You choose what you think from the various options that the intelligence is giving you to not perform the activity.
That is intelligence, yes, you said, right? That mind gives so many options, so many desires, so many thoughts. But we need
Mind doesn't give options.
not options, thoughts, process.
Mind has
So many
destination,
thoughts.
what state you want to be in. For that, you use intelligence.
To go, yeah, that's. But
That's what
here,
you say.
intelligence is giving. You said it. I didn't connect like that somehow. Yeah. But
I said
that
the
is
intelligence gives you options. Mind never gives you options.
Hmm.
The intelligence will give you options.
We need
This
to
is good,
choose.
this is not good.
Yeah.
Okay?
We need to choose.
Then I made the statement that the intelligence will not engage with any object that you have never had an experience previously.
So what is the previous statement you said? I like that. Intelligence will not engage like you made some statement.
And things that you have never experienced.
Things that you have never experienced. So it will be within your experience only. Where is all that experience stored? In the mind.
But that statement also connects to not performing actions. If you do not perform actions, there is no experience.
No. Here is the statement is being made in context with Arjuna not wanting to perform actions. So already there is a situation where someone has to perform an action. They are considering whether they should stop performing actions or they are considering whether they should give up all sense of responsibility and leave. Two situations. That is what we are addressing here. So that we are not taking this as a stand-alone verse. We are seeing it in a certain context because Krishna is speaking in a certain context, right? So the experiences are all stored in our mind. The mind has memories, isn't it? The intelligence will give you options very selectively because of your own intent. And hence, you will be seemingly convinced that what you're thinking about is the best option for you. That is why I said the struggle is always there. Arjuna hence is asking Krishna because his jnana is not allowing him to just follow his desires. Alright? Therefore, it is so very important to always. Okay. It is so very important to always have good memories. What is the Telugu word for good memories in the mind? Sanskara. That is why good sanskara. Because even if there is very challenging situations, the intelligence can only choose from what you have stored in your consciousness, in your mind. Is it all right? Perfect. Yes. Bring in references from whatever, wherever you remember. It's helpful. Okay? So, every moment in our lives, whatever we do, is basically revealing our intent. And as we go on building on these thought processes and getting experiences, our intent actually grows. It becomes more solidified. So, intent is not passive. It is not static. Vritti, Uddeshyam is a goal, but intent is vritti. When you say of Uddeshya, you already have a goal in mind. But when you have intent or vritti, your attitude, how do you look at life? Are you optimistic? Do you have some pessimism in you? Are you hopeful? Do you give up? This is what is being spoken about here. Okay?
It's also developed based on your experiences, right? Pessimism develops in a person. If he fails in every activity he does, like probably slowly he builds a pessimism.
Yeah. But failure cannot be without some building blocks. So, where do those building blocks come from? Was there good association? Was there good discussion? Good peers? Your guide? With all of that, if there is failure, then those failure teaches you what not to do the next time. Pessimism doesn't come in. With everything that is a good support system, it is not pessimism. It simply shows you where you could improve. Right?
If you have same association, that is you are being lazy. So if you are failing in everything you are doing, then something wrong with your surroundings, your association, then you keep changing your surroundings association.
If constantly you're failing and we only say the surrounding, it could also be that you are in a very controlled atmosphere. Right? Now, if you can go beyond that and look at other resources, the world is a big place. So if you in a controlled atmosphere, you choose your parameters. If there's constant failure, and as I said, if you have good support system, guidance, good inputs from peers who are as like-minded as you are, as industrious as you are, then you look beyond the parameters that you have set for yourself. Is that all right? Okay.
Prabhu, can you help me? Is this intent is driven by our mind or by intelligence? As I am understanding here, as you said, we need to keep good memories. That means this intent is driving the force by mind.
No, the intent is you. You are expressing you are expressing yourself as a living being by showing your intent.
The jiva's free will.
Free will.
It's my free will. I mean,
I'm not saying free will.
if you see senses, soul, mind, intelligence, the intent is driving by which things. I really want to understand.
The mind, the intelligence are all dead matter.
Okay.
Intent is living. It gives life to dead matter.
Okay.
It's from the soul. That's what.
It's an expression of the soul. It's the expression of the living force.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay? So, once we have figured it out, we have to realize that moment by moment, every moment, we have to be literally very alert. Being alive means being alert. If one is not alive, then there is no alertness. So what does alert mean? Alert means always conscious of what one is receiving or giving. Always conscious of that. Okay, so the effects that we are experiencing in the present life are reactions. Those reactions that are healthy for us and those reactions that are detrimental for us, that do not help us out, which are simply the result of a series of innumerable actions that we have done in the past. Make sense?
Yes.
Series of innumerable actions that we have done in the past. So the living entity, which is pure and complete, is now in this enclosure. What is the enclosure? The enclosure is of the intelligence, the mind, that is subtle body, and there is the external senses with which one has to do the give and take, the gross body. So the senses act. There are so many actions that have been performed in the past. Those actions have been influenced by the subtle body. Correct? What has that resulted in? It has resulted in me being here right now. Okay? If this process continues, then 10 years from now, I will be existing in a similar situation. Similar means I'll have senses, I'll have hands, legs, body, whatever, and a body. Now, if I don't want that, because I'm free, right now I'm bound. I'm free, but my situation is that I'm bound. If I don't want to be bound, what is the way out?
How do we achieve Naishkarya?
Krishna, what Arjuna is offering to Krishna is, if I want out Krishna, then why am I here right now? As a result of my previous actions. So if I continue those actions, similar actions right now, I'll have a future, similar future. If I want a different future, I stop actions right now. See the logic Arjuna is using? So if I stop actions, I'll have a different future. What is that future? No reactions, no body, and therefore liberated. Therefore moksha, liberation. Siddhim. Okay? Moksha. So Arjuna's proposal is that Krishna, how will I achieve liberation? By fighting. In fact, I will achieve liberation by not fighting. I'll achieve liberation for that even if I have to give up my dharma, even if I have to give up my occupation, even have to give up all of my training, then I'll take sannyas. And therefore, I will achieve moksha. Okay. Not being involved in action because it gives reaction is the proposal by Arjuna. Why? Because if there is no reaction, then I will be free. There, in our present existence, there are certain entities that are not bound by actions because they do not have reactions because they do not perform actions. Do we know what entities they are? They are the stones, the rocks, the inanimate objects. Inanimate objects, no action being performed by them. Therefore, no reaction. The logic, Arjuna's logic.
Like this sofa, table, like that.
Yes, sofa, table, stones, rocks, all of those things. Inanimate, right? No action, therefore no reaction, therefore they should be free. Therefore the stones should be having moksha. The sofa should be having moksha based on that logic. So how faulty is this logic? These inanimate objects are not free. Then how can we say that if you stop action, There will be no reactions, and therefore one will be free or liberated. Hence Krishna says, simply by giving up your activities, you're not going to achieve siddhi, perfection. You're not going to achieve naishkarmyam or freedom from entanglement. Make sense? Okay. Our existence today is because of a series of innumerable reactions in the past. This is our faith based on some logic. Correct? You did your studies, so today you're somewhere because you put in so many hours of studies, right? Yes. Makes sense? Innumerable actions. You eat one slice of pizza that has gone rotten, but you do not know it is rotten because there's so much cheese on it. The flavor of cheese does not make you realize it has gone bad. You eat it. Do you have a bad stomach?
Yes.
Isn't it? Food poisoning. So simply one action can also give you a different body. You'll be in a diseased body. So it is not just numerous actions of the past that gives you a human body. In fact, a single action that is sufficient enough to give you reaction can also give you a human body in the future. Basically, what Krishna is trying to say is that don't try to analyze how by which action you're going to be free or it is going to be bound. If your intent for even one action is such that the reaction you have to receive in a human body, then you'll get a human body in the future. You'll get another birth. Hence, you cannot be under this assurance that, okay, now that I've understood how so many different actions are responsible for my birth, you cannot rest assured thinking that, all right, let me cut down on my actions and only do a few actions now. If I reduce the number of actions that I'm doing, then I am slowly but surely preventing my birth in the future. These are the various ways that humans come up. Ekadashi fasting. Can I eat samurais? Can I eat wari? Can I eat this pakoda? Can I eat that? Is this? So we come up with so many options. Why? Because that is what is our nature. We have that ability to do. Okay? Hence, accumulation of actions and reactions, whether you cut down on your actions or you don't cut down on your actions, the cycle will go on indefinitely. Hence, what can be done? Therefore, we come back to Krishna. One cannot live without doing actions. Why? Duties are there. Therefore, be more aware of your duties than just your actions. What is a duty? For example, if you're a surgeon, don't be scared of using your scalpel during surgery. Using the surgical knife during surgery. Don't be scared of it. It's a duty to use it. Oh, what if I cut improperly? I'm cutting someone. No. You've received a training. You're supposed to intervene using the surgical knife. You're cooking. Don't be confused about how much spices you have to add. No confusion. Be sure of what you have to do. Okay? So action has to be there. It has to obviously be in knowledge, but action has to be there. Only when you perform actions without a desire to enjoy the results of those actions and specifically to make an offering of the results of those actions to someone qualified to receive it. Would there be a possibility that while you're doing your duties, you will not be considered to be the enjoyer of the fruits of your actions? You'll not be considered to be the enjoyer of the fruits of your actions. You give a donation. Where do you give donation? In a temple, either you sign a check, but typically you put it in the donation box, right? So somehow someone comes in and steals the donation box. You're not going to be held responsible for giving donation, are you? Or if you are not given donation, then the thief could not have taken anything from the donation box. Make sense? You did your duty. Now the donation, to keep the donation box secure is not your responsibility.
It's financial responsibility.
That's a different purpose response.
Okay, here is
The only one who can enjoy his actions is Krishna.
now who can enjoy the results of your donation? You are no longer the enjoyer of the results of your donation. Hence, you will be not held responsible if somebody steals away the donation box. Okay? Who is it for? For Krishna. So you chose a very qualified person to be the recipient of your action. Recipient of the fruits of your action. Make sense? This is called as, sorry, yes.
And so the intent also matters in that context, because if we had put it in the donation box, but like in our mind intended it for someone else other than Krishna, that would have also affected if that was...
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that maybe you put it because the intent is the temple resident should get it?
Like, I guess it's a bad example, but like...
Because the donation box
Yeah.
has a specific purpose, right?
Yeah.
You collect donation for the temple, which is Krishna's.
Yeah.
So most probably it won't be used for anything else.
Yeah.
The donation box.
Yeah, like what happens to after doesn't matter as long as our intent was to operate to Krishna.
When you put your contribution in the donation box, your intent is very clear,
Yeah.
isn't it? It couldn't have any other beneficiary right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because the donation box has a specific beneficiary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes?
Even if the thief had taken it.
The thief has taken it.
Yeah.
It's possible the thief can do that.
But it doesn't matter as long as we had given it with the intent to give it to Krishna.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter whether the thief took it.
We won't be held responsible.
Yeah.
Someone else will be
Yeah.
held responsible.
Someone else, and that's the effect of their own actions.
Yes. Okay?
I have one.
Yes.
In my childhood, I used to hear this: "Apatra danam is papam." Apatra danam is papam.
Correct.
So then, when we are donating or doing, we also need to identify the qualified or when before we do that.
That is
So when you put your contribution in a donation box, you should put it in a donation box
So the most
Which is-
it would be used properly.
which is sanctioned by, let us say, institution, authorized by an institution, and you know that the institution has its books done correctly, isn't it? If the institution is maintaining their books correctly, then you can, let us say, very peacefully put your donation in the donation box. That's helpful? Yeah? Yes. Right. So I just gave that example to explain the point. What was the point?
you're not the responsible once you're done.
When you perform an action with the intent that the action should be done so well, the results can be enjoyed. Who's the enjoyer? Not I. It is offered to a person that is very qualified to enjoy the result. In our case, it is Krishna. That becomes Naishkarmya.
Kuchi, if we donate, let's say if we donate some money to a homeless person, we are doing it with a good intent. But if that person uses it, misuses it,
Yeah.
so do we get the reaction from it?
Are we responsible for it?
I am not really qualified to say yes or no. I've heard people say that we could be held responsible for it. However, these are the references that I found are in subsidiary scriptures, subsidiary literature. Does let us say the prominent, the primary literatures, do they say anything about getting reactions for someone that is unqualified who has received a donation? They just want us to do it in good awareness. We should know. So someone would say that, all right, rather than give them money, if you can make food for them, or if you can see if they need some clothes, then give it to them. It's still possible that they may take your food, they may take your clothes and again sell it off. It's still possible. But there is only so much, and yes, I've heard that there could be reactions. So can we stop being kind to people? So there are two things. The reactions that could come from misuse and the benefit that one gets immediately in the present by being kind, and also in the future the reactions or the prize, let us say, that one gets by being kind, it outweighs the results that could come from misuse. All right. So yes, see if you can actually take much more responsibility. Maybe get the homeless person to an ashram that you have built where there is Krishna, and tell them that, hey, you can stay here and you can have food, whatever you need. Just keep this place clean, welcome people in, basically give them a job like that. That would be very, very safe approach. However, as I said, if the only opportunity we have is to whether donate to a homeless person or not, let us have faith that Krishna, he is more powerful than us. So in such a situation where you are only left with one option, there's no other option to consider, whether to be kind or not be kind. And if you can be kind, then try and be kind. And accept that, okay, if it is going to be misused, some reaction is going to come. However, I am not going to give up the opportunity to be kind. It's like a soldier. A soldier knows that I'm going to leave my family back home and I'll be on the battlefield. I hope my countrymen take care of my family and have faith. Okay? So that is how we try and be kind to people if we have no better option available. Does that help? Okay. All right.
I can ask it.
Okay. So Naishkarmyam, and the idea of Naishkarmyam, actions which can help us be motivated, which can help us feel fulfilled that we perform that action, and at the same time which does not bind us by its reactions, is the go-to option available to every living entity, because the impetus to act is very strong. And for someone who has a strong impetus to do some activity, sannyas is a very, very, very bad choice. Because the impetus is there.
Artificially controlled.
You cannot artificially control.
Sannyas, it doesn't mean that he does not have, he cannot stop from doing anything, right? He also does.
When we are speaking of sannyas here, so we are not speaking about sannyas as being explained by Jay Shetty.
I don't know, I never heard it.
Okay, by Khera? What Khera? By some of these influencers, those who speak about how we should be very, very
I understand. I think
productive approach in life. No, those people. That is not the sannyas that, just as the word guru is used by them.
I think I should take it with the context and the intent. I think
So the context of sannyas is vis-a-vis naishkarmi. Action, no action. Yes, that is the context, isn't it? So because the impetus is there, most of us are going to be having that impetus to be performing actions. Hence, sannyas is a very, very bad choice in that situation. It will never ever be able to achieve any kind of perfection by taking sannyas if we have not trained ourselves to be inactive, meditative. If there is no training, whenever you see that, or whenever you have the impetus to be in the outside world and you cannot help but lend a helping hand to someone, for such a person, sannyas in the sense of renunciation that is being mentioned here is not a very, very good option. They have to leave. Varnashram, according to how Varnashram explains the different ashrams, sannyas is completely, you're socially dead. Sannyas means you're socially dead. Therefore at sannyas you, according to the Vedic culture, at sannyas you perform your own funeral rites. You don't kill yourself, but you do your own rites, which means that now socially I'm disconnected from everyone. So no social responsibilities. Is it all right? So hence that sannyas is being the idea of sannyas that is being mentioned here is that kind of sannyas, and it is not going to be helpful. What sannyas we have experienced in ISKCON and we have experienced in Vaishnav culture is sannyas, where a sannyasi becomes the Pied Piper of society, takes on so many responsibilities of society. That is a different kind of sannyas. That is not being referred to here. Okay, here a very specific idea of sannyas is being referred to. Alright, so hence Krishna says dry renunciation or renunciation, where you give up your responsibilities and you think that that is more helpful, that kind of renunciation is not recommended. If you really want to be renounced in your life, then perform your actions without being attached to the enjoyment, self-enjoyment of results. We always try to say that perform your actions without being attached to the results. You have to be very much attached to the results, because those results are meant to be offered to Krishna. So if you're not careful of those results, if you're not attached to the results,
carelessness in doing action.
so you have to be very, very careful while you're performing actions, very, very focused on what the results are going to be, detached from wanting to enjoy the results. So the enjoyment, no, it's not very difficult. A mother does it so many times with a child. All their actions they do with complete focus. They don't want to enjoy anything that is there. So it's not very difficult. It's so very easy. A doctor does that, an engineer does that. Anyone who is very much dedicated to their profession, they have an experience of working without being attached to enjoying the results. Do you think an electrician comes and fixes a house and wants to enjoy it after that? The facilities of our house? No. Knows how to be detached. But what we do is, when it comes to Krishna, when it comes to the higher purpose, somehow or the other we are convinced it's very difficult to do. Why? Why is that? Because we are not being very professional in that approach. Once you are as dedicated as a mother is dedicated to motherhood, as an engineer is dedicated to being an engineer, an electrician is dedicated to being an engineer, a teacher is dedicated to teaching. Similarly, if we understand what it means to be professional in spiritual life,
so much satisfaction, there is so much enjoyment while if I cook for my daughter,
Yes,
even though I'm
exactly.
not eating the rasgulla, she is eating, but I'm the most enjoyable person while she eats that what I make. There is so much satisfaction, enjoyment, the process while we are raising our children. I mean, there is selfish, actually, I'm saying. If you say, yeah.
Did I ever say that do not have to be selfish?
No, there is no enjoyment. No, we are enjoying. Even though we are practicing this under the gurus, so every day we want to cook and offer what our family will eat, what it suits our family. That only we will cook and offer to Krishna. See, even it's all enjoyment.
I completely agree to what you're saying. However, you yourself, when you go, let us say you participate in a bigger function, and you cook there, is it just for the enjoyment of your family? You hardly know all the people that have gathered there for that function. Haven't you done that?
Yeah, even one time I got the answer when you cook Rajbhog or in temple service, that itself
No,
only one thing we are
forget
thinking of
Rajbhog.
Krishna.
You cook. You go to your friend's house. They are having a marriage party. You only know them. You don't know their guests.
But my enjoyment is there in cooking.
I'm not addressing that. And what I'm addressing is when we look at it very specifically that I only do it for my family. No, you have done it beyond that. Every one of us has done that and done it many times. Whenever the occasion arises, we go beyond all these considerations. Okay? First of all, just about the family thing, that is what I want to clarify. So hence it is not going to be very difficult when we do it for Krishna, but we have to do it in a professional sense. Okay? Now coming to enjoyment. When I make an offering to Krishna and Krishna enjoys, I also enjoy. Where does Krishna stop me from enjoyment? Where does Krishna say that when you offer the fruits of enjoyment to me, you should not be feeling happy about it? That is never in the equation. So why do we want to stop ourselves from being happy? Why do we want to stop ourselves from enjoying our happiness? We are Satchidananda. We are supposed to enjoy our happiness. However, that kind of happiness that does not bind one. That is what is being discussed here. We do not want one single action that will give me another birth as a human. It binds one.
If we are pleasing Krishna, if we are working for Krishna's happiness, if we are still enjoying that, that is what we need. That is what, yeah.
I'm not saying we have to enjoy. That is a duty. What will be the enjoyment? When you are cooking for your child, the enjoyment is because you're cooking for a child, or the enjoyment will be when you see a child eating what you've cooked. What will it be?
Both. If they say, come, this is yummy, then more enjoyment. Sorry, Prabhu, I'm just saying, yeah, while I'm cooking for my child, I enjoy the process. While I'm feeding, while I'm seeing the child is eating.
So let me explain. What you think of enjoyment is anticipation of the enjoyment.
Okay.
You're feeling happy thinking that when my child eats this, the child will be happy. So it's the anticipation of that enjoyment which makes you feel that you're happy while cooking. Your goal is not to be happy while cooking. Your goal is to see your child happy when the child eats. So the process itself can give you happiness, but the happiness, that process giving you happiness is dependent upon the goal. Similarly, chanting Hare Krishna will give you happiness, but this happiness is on the goal. The goal is that we make an offering of our chanting to Krishna. Cooking, the goal is to see Krishna happily enjoying it. Therefore, we sing the Bhog Arati that Krishna is enjoying it. We cannot see Krishna, but we kind of imagine that Krishna is enjoying our cooking, the Rajbhog. That is why the Bhog Arati is there, right? Okay? So, if what Arjun wants is that which can benefit him and benefit society, and Krishna is saying that by taking sannyas based on your reasoning, you'll not be happy. If you have to take sannyas, it has to be different criteria. There you will be happy and society will also be happy. That's a different criteria. And not performing actions, I will not fight you. He's not even taken sannyas, he's saying I'll not fight. What is the use of fighting? that also is not going to be beneficial. Okay, so what will be beneficial? Here it is being hinted. The answer will come in later verses because this is a conversation Krishna is having. So this itself will not give you a direct answer. This verse standalone will not give you a direct answer, but it's hinting at action done in Krishna consciousness will actually be very, very beneficial to one and all. It's late. There's so much more that I wanted to discuss, but we'll stop here. The reason being, I'm sure that the need that I feel to discuss more is just for my own satisfaction. Whereas time here definitely is clearly indicating that whatever we've discussed is good enough. Right? We've sufficiently covered the gist of this verse, isn't it? And I'm very thankful to you for prodding me, making me think, letting me challenge myself. Yes? And giving me good inputs too. So thank you very much.
Cooking for a child is a very nice example. And that is at first level. Mother cooking for kids, she can enjoy. But the same, if she can cook, who are not related, if she can cook for them, that is the next level. And if you can cook someone who doesn't know how to talk to you, you don't get to hear praises, if you can cook for them, that is the next level. Maybe like that.
Yes. Either you can do that and wait for a few more lifetimes, or logically, if you've understood this step-by-step process, then ultimately it culminates in Krishna. So we can try and make our offering directly to Krishna, knowing very well that Krishna would not just enjoy our food, but also distribute it. He can multiply the food so many times and distribute it to all the needy, whoever is there. In fact, he also gives it back to me and says, okay, you're needy, you take prasad. Okay? So let's stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any other comments or questions?
Sorry, Prabhu, we interrupted you so many times. Yeah.
The reason you interrupted me is because I was making many open-ended statements. That is why I was throwing it out there, and you're like very, very decent and intelligent people. So you picked up on it, and you know, we could discuss more on it. So it was nice. It was good. It was good.
I think we all have ISKCON association. That's why you said, right? Intelligence cannot come up with something if you're not engaging in it.
True, I have only one question. You made a statement saying that, I forgot exact wording, but you said that our intelligence cannot act unless you have experienced that. Okay, in an aspect. But then if you put it that way, like many of the inventions, discoveries that people do are not because of experience, but like they sometimes come out of need, or sometimes like they are not getting something, so they basically invented, or sometimes by just chance. How do you, like, I mean, like a lot of things that happen not because they have experienced them. How do you
When I made the statement that intelligence, whatever it analyzes, it can only deal with things that have been in our experience before.
Yes.
So even if something completely, let us say the Eureka moment, completely new manifests for us, it will still be amongst the resources that we are used to. Because anything that is not what we are not used to does not exist for us. So how are we going to interact with it? It has to come through the resources that we are used to. So if it has to, let us say, what are some of the discoveries? Electricity. It has to come through the resources that we are used to. Metal, sockets, buoyancy, Archimedes principle. Resources, water tub. So the intelligence can only interact with the things that we have experience of. And it can analyze only related to those things.
It could be past life karma also, right? Maybe he is having experiences in his past life.
Not in that sense. My friend also once had a very long time when he was giving me Krishna Manjari, he said that in this world we are all discoverers. I mean, the discoveries, whatever inventions we are saying, are actually discoveries, not inventions, because whatever they are so-called invention is out of the resources that we are already have been provided by. So they are actually discovering something by mixing, matching, and getting something new invention. We call it invention in the sense very scientific, very technologically, or in a Latin language term, invention would be something which is coming out new. But when we take it in a spiritual sense, it is not something new. It is out of the resources that we are creating that. In that sense, even the experiences like Prabhuji is saying, we have all had. Even if the apple had to fall before he invented that, the apple was falling. It's an experience. The apple was falling for Newton also, right? सब जगह apple तो नहीं रहा, right?
जो गिर रहा था वो एप्पल है, एप्पल पेड़ से गिर रहा है. Even that,
All that is
if Newton had never experienced an apple and an apple tree,
yeah.
then it would take him some time.
To find it somewhere else.
I mean, why Newton did not think, why is a mango falling from a mango tree? Why is a date falling from a date tree? Because it was not within his field of experience.
You will be having mango falls, if not.
But once a principle has been explained, then whoever, wherever, whatever their experience is, they can use that principle. Make sense? Basically, what I wanted to say was that we are limited by resources.
In the experience of India, right? Our experiences were like we should not fight arms or night. We should not we should fight it. But we never experienced people fighting coming at night and once we learned, means it took 1,000 years for us, that is a different thing. But once we learned, then we started engaging in their own.
Actually, no. People actually would train. What is that? Shabda Behdi. Arjuna trained in night. He received a training. However, they would establish the rules of engagement before the fight. So after the 11th day, when Bhishma fell down, the rules of engagement changed. They fought into the night also.
Oh, then the fought
That's where Ashwatthama also came later on and killed everyone when they were sleeping. No?
Okay, well, I know, I think Rakshasas will get.
Rakshasas would
Bhagavad Gita became very powerful during the night fight.
night. So Alambusha, Ghatotkacha, all of them during the night time. So this was till the time Bhishma was commander in chief. The rules of engagement were that as soon as it's dusk, no more fighting. Because it gives unfair advantage to people who know how to fight in the dark, and lots of soldiers don't know how to fight in the dark. So basically, rules of engagement were set like that. But then Dronacharya became the commander in chief, and the rules of engagement changed. Alright, so they knew how to fight in the dark. However, they would always have different rules of engagements. Okay.
One last question if you have time. So the takeaway point, I really like that the samskaras, the memory. So I really want as a practical application in this association. How can we take ourselves in which activities if we work, we get those samskaras, and what we give to our kids to get those good samskaras so that these will help to take, while they are using intelligence. I really want some practical applications.
This is just opens up an entire universe for you. What could be the good sanskaras? So what could be helpful is whatever you've learned from your parents, your society that you grew up in, and whatever was very helpful for you, that you would be easily able to transfer to your children. So you give them that. Stay in a community where teachers, elders, others are having their own, let us say, they have their own tools that bring about good. So they have their own sanskaras, and that can come to the child too. That was one of the reasons why in the earlier ages where you did not have Tinder, you did not have resume, you did not have all of those things, right? Where you get, which family do you make your marriage alliance with? It matter a lot. It has all to do with samskaras. What community they stay in. Because then you know that that particular community, what would be the sanskaras that they would receive. So it is not that just your child is married into that family, that community, but the children that are going to be born to them will receive those kind of impressions, sanskars. Right? Hence, some very intelligent person says that it takes an entire village to raise up a child. So the idea is that just your sanskaras are not enough for the child. That is the idea. Not just the mothers, the fathers, the elder brother, the elder sister, just their sanskaras are not enough. Because the child has to go out for learning, engage. So what sanskars they receive from the people in the community, that is also very important.
Its association in a good way is more important.
The school district, why do, it's just a sanskar, right? Why do you go to the good school district?
Yeah.
English proverb is tell me about your friends, I'll tell about you.
Yeah, about you. We don't have to tell you.
Is that all right?
Yes, from English.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.